Hey folks, this is Grant No here from the Infinity Blade forum, and today I'm bringing you a video. It's my submission for the ibsuperfan contest. So I'm just gonna do a little bit of a brief introduction before I walk you through. You can see there I have my signs up. Work in progress. I'm a busy student, and welcome Saranthia by Grant No. So this is the location for Infinity Blade 2, discluding the Sadie estate. It's Alsar the Vile's estate. And the reason I put that sign there, work in progress, I'm a busy student, is because I had been spending the past few hours just sort of trying to throw things together. And ultimately I decided that I was going to stop doing that and just submit what I have as is. Reason being, this is a contest to find the best fan, or the super fan of Infinity Blade, who is the best fan out there. And in order to do that, they've used pictures, of course, to try to identify who the biggest fan is. Being the biggest fan and having a picture of something doesn't require a finished project, it just requires something that proves that you are an avid supporter of the game. So, that being said, I'm going to show you what I have so far, and that I'm still going to work on it. I'll just let you know I'm still going to work on it, but I'm going to show you what I have so far. I'm a busy student, so this is what I could get in my scheduled time, and the fact that it's not finished has nothing to do with how big of a fan I am of Infinity Blade. So, discussing fans of Infinity Blade, honestly, I think the biggest fans out there are the ones who don't even have a Facebook or a Twitter or a forum account or anything like that to be able to know that there's even a contest. To me, the biggest fans are the kids who are 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, who put on the imaginary cape and walk out there with their paper towel roll cardboard thing in the middle, swinging it around like a sword. Those are the biggest fans of Infinity Blade. Just thought I'd make that clear, because I remember the days that I was a huge fan of Star Wars, and I'd go out there with my lightsaber and practice my forms every day. And that made me one of the biggest fans of Star Wars, even though I probably couldn't have named every single character and didn't have every single location memorized. So, it's an important thing to keep in mind, is that we are very, very fortunate to be able to post our videos knowing that, and pictures rather, knowing that we are not necessarily the biggest fans out there. So, that being said, let's get going. So, I am going to upload this on Mediafire so that you guys can check it out. And I need to fly here. That's not letting me. There we go. Okay, as I was saying, I'm going to upload this onto Mediafire. Let's just take an overall picture so far. I'm very, very detail oriented, so I'll point out all the things that took me a long time and all the things that I sort of messed up on, yada yada. So, if you're going to point out to me that the dam needs to be higher, I know that, or rather deeper, I suppose. It needs to go further down. I know that it has some curvature to it. I know that there's a mountain where Cyrus walks down and he says, "Worker, I will free you." Yes, I don't have those locations yet. I know that they exist. I'm very detail-oriented. So you'll see that on the areas that I consider finished. For example, I do consider this, the main entrance hall, finished, with the exception of the roof color, which I can't change, and the fact that these, I don't know, I suppose they're pipes in the game, but they don't go all the way down to the bottom, but that's only because I'm not finished with the dam just yet. So, if we come into here, you can see that I have all of those statues, and they have the fire blazing. Reason I consider this finished, and the reason I say I'm so detail-oriented, you'll notice there's the treasure chest in the specific place that it should be in, and believe me, I've spent hours, and when I say hours, I mean probably if you were to add up the hours, it'd be equivalent to about half a month worth of hours, poring over screenshots of the game, playing through the game just to see how things are, and then trying to replicate it. and then messing up, tearing things down, and rebuilding it. Messing up, tearing things down, rebuilding it. So this would be what a good finished product would look like ultimately. I know some things in here like the torches aren't supposed to be there, but you know, lighting is kind of suffering, so I have to add things in here and there. But do you see how they have, or how I have put the soft stone around the edges, and then you have the cobblestone in the middle, or the fact that this one has a line through the middle with the soft stone? Go ahead and go on your Infinity Blade 2, or I suppose now in Infinity Blade 2 they have, or Infinity Blade 3 they have this location now too. You can look through it. It's all there, all those details, and you can see it's bordering our courtyard here. Details in the courtyard. I have not put the wall around the entire courtyard yet. There's supposed to be a wall that kind of wraps around and connects with this main entrance hall. I haven't put the treasure chest in there yet, anything like that. As for the courtyard itself, it's pretty much done, and the buildings on either side are done. You'll notice that I didn't put the iron there where it should be, and that's because I tried it out and it did not look good, so I decided not to use it. Also, while I'm doing this, I figured I'd point out some inconsistencies, because inconsistencies are fun, so you'll just be able to see how much detail I put into this, just based off of the things that I've noticed. So, if you go to your game, and you click this option, and you're heading up towards the arena, you'll be able to see straight through to the other side of the arena. So, naturally you'd think that I'd put the arena here, but what's the problem? The problem is, once you're in the arena, you'll notice that it butts up against these rocks that connect to the main entrance hall building, the main hall rather, that's the entrance hall I suppose. So the main hall and the tower. And there's a bunch of rocks that kind of go between those, and you'll see like a little tiny building, and that's what I have the shape sort of cut out there for. And you'll see I haven't added the rocks or anything in yet. So my time spent was, well, what do? Do I put it right across from the door, or do I butt it up against the buildings as it should be? Well, I ultimately chose to butt it up against the buildings, and I figured I'd just create a little walkway there. Something else that you'll notice that's actually pretty misleading is we frequently tend to think that Cyrus comes in directly behind this platform, but I was looking at an in-game screenshot, and there's no door behind him on that platform. You can check it out. But you'll see I have two doors, one on the left and one on the right there, on either side for entrance. We'll take a quick pause here because the sun's going down. You'll see I have my makeshift bed randomly placed right here, that I've been fleeing to every time it starts turning into night. I feel like I'm going to have some trouble flying again, so I'm not really looking forward to this. Guess I should land this. Let's see, I saved all my screenshots there. Alright. And we're back. Okay, so I pointed out one inconsistency to you, that's pretty interesting. You'll notice here that I don't have this connected with the ground yet, and it's also not surrounded by the stone brick as it should be. That's just because I created the inner shell and I haven't done any terraforming to extend the mountain to where it could all fit and everything yet. So I will work on that pretty soon here. I know that there is also no door for the monstrosity to come through, but yes, I'm aware that that should be there. I tried to add in some grass, but I think it needs to fill in a little bit more, so I'll do that later. Stone demon location. I'll show you what I have so far, but it's clearly not complete yet. I don't even have the pathway running to it yet. So, you'll see that momentarily. Let me show you another inconsistency and we'll head into the main hall, which is my personal favorite creation. Oh, side note here, this thing the back side of this main front hall here was really difficult to figure out how to make because there's no clear shot of it. So a lot of this is guesswork. I'm not sure whether or not it's actually accurate. But, this hall, two problems with it. First, the height. And second, you'll notice that the front is angled. You have the door, and then there's a wall on the left side and right side of the door, centered in the screen there, centered in the screen there, that angle off to the sides. Well, if you go inside of the main hall there that we're about to go inside, and you see the back view, you'll notice first that the wall is flat. So we have an initial problem here. Either that center wall panel is the entire thickness of the main hall, which would be pretty darn skinny, so it can't be that, or there's some sort of bridge between the main hall and the door, and that is what I've done, is the bridge, so that I can still have an angled front, or so that I can still have an angled building, but the main hall on the inside is flat. So that I tore down several times, and you can imagine that many bricks and restructuring all that, it's time consuming. The second thing I mentioned was the height of the building. If you go inside the main hall in your game again, you'll notice that the height is pretty much just past the height of the door, not too much beyond that. And it has skylights. So I don't know what the additional building is there, but you know, it presents a problem. So what I did is I just made it hollow. It's a big hollow cavity, more or less, and you can see the skylights there. And then you'll notice that I don't have a back wall. That was purposeful. It's because when you're inside on the ground, you'll be able to see this. If there were a giant wall there, you'd be able to see it as soon as you walked in, and I wanted you to be able to see the sky straight ahead. So that was purposeful. I tested it out, and it was ugly, so I changed it. Alright, well, they don't show you the bridge area for the angle, so I kind of made one up like that, and then you'll notice, just like in the game, flat back wall. You can look at the detail here too, just strange things that you'll see like that, you know, on the edge of these, what would they be called? Indoor balconies. I really don't know what to call them, but you see these strange like square patterns here, and if you go on the game, it's got one of those fancy patterns there. So wherever there is a pattern for something on the floor or on an arch or something like that, I tried to use some brick that had some sort of pattern on it. Like you can see, those have a pattern on it, just to, you know, give it some life. You'll see your treasure chest in the same location. I tried to put all the bookshelves that are shown in the game in the correct locations, so you can look into that. I needed to add more grass here, but I never got around to it, so that'll happen later. You can see all the paintings are there, and I tried out this staircase when it was broken, and I didn't like it, so I added it in. You'll see I had some trouble with just creating a curved staircase. It wasn't working out for me, so I kind of created the illusion of a curve. It's not so noticeable from the front, so it's, you know, it's fine. I'll live with it. Alright, let's go into the Archist room. Oh, just really quickly, let me show you. If you look straight through here, obviously that goes to the little dungeon room where you can get all your items. You'll see that just goes straight through there, so that is there, obviously, that direction. But if you'll recall, in the game there's also a way to get there from the Archist room, but they don't show how to do that, so I had to sort of use some ingenuity for that. So, the Archist room. Bam. See, I have the hole in the wall, the little mossy colored column that you can see in the game. So, yeah, Archist room. If you look at the ceiling pattern with the lights is like that. Detail. It's about detail. But you can see I've added a lot of additional lights just for lighting purposes, obviously. So I haven't hooked all these up yet, but it's in my list of things to do. for hooking up all of these to one another, but they are functional. Let me show you. Alright, there we go. So you can see it lights up the appropriate light. That goes for all three of them. So you'll see the other two, but I haven't wired it yet so that it goes to the other two, but I will get around to that. Let's get rid of our hand, very intrusive. Okay, so in the game, you know that Cyrus goes through some mysterious door and you never really see into it, and then all of a sudden he ends up on the other side of the castle in that dungeon room. So I had to invent a way for that to happen. It's kind of a long, winding path, so I apologize for that. Definitely not carried around in the best of manners, but I wish I could just teleport us. That does not happen. Oh, oops. I forgot that I was doing construction on this earlier. See if we can just okay, we're back. Sorry about the pause there. Seems that when I'm screen recording this is a little glitchy, so my landing and takeoffs are not the smoothest. So, you can see we're still on our winding, narrow path. Looks like we're almost to the end. Here we go. Our final staircase. So, you're about to see how this happens every time in the game when I don't show you. You can see I have a little door here and a lever. So why don't we activate that lever? Boom. Okay. Where did this put us? Right in front of the room. You can see the hall behind us. So, no tricks, it just takes you right there. Let's close that again. Crafty. Alright. Unfortunately, I have not finished staircases yet. So stairwells are still in operation, or still under construction. My little holy band room is still under construction, so I can't show you guys those yet. My plan for here, though, since you have to have, what is it, 4 items? I'm trying to think, the sword, helm, armor, shield, yeah. 4 items to get into the holy band room. I think what I'm going to do is put one lever in 4 of the different dungeons, or 4 of the different holding cells, and then you'll have to activate those in order to get in. So, before we proceed, since we're right above it here, see I have a large hole here, let me show you exactly how I'm going to do this redstone-wise with the upper area. Okay. So, you can see that we have final thing that's blocking. I think I put a lever down in there. It should be blocking a lever. So these would resemble our lights in each of the locations. So the MX, Goliath, the Archivist, and the Stone Demon. When we flip a lever, the light needs to come on. And you'll see that even though we might have a combination of ones off, as long as one is always on, it will not release that piston, no matter what. But if all 3 are activated, you'll see the piston moves, and we have access to our special lever, which will let us get down into the dungeon room. So that's how it will work when it's all said and done. And now it's nighttime, so I need to use that bed over there. So we'll pause for this. Maybe it'll go fast enough. I can only sleep at night. It's surprising. Alright. And we are back. and we're making attempts to fly. Okay, now we're back and we are flying. So, since I don't formally have any of the staircases in place, we're just going to have to fly to our locations. So, you can check out this one. Oh, my reasoning for this, by the way. If you get Rith, and you activate him by buying one of the solar trans weapons, you'll notice that his ship kind of flies. If you're familiar with that part in the tower that's wrecked, you'll see that his ship flies into the wrecked area of the tower. So I'm assuming the hangar is somewhere in the middle of that. And also, something else I haven't completed, you're going to hate me by now, is that little hallway with the balcony. And you'll see I have the hallway but not the balcony. You'd notice that it is right next to the wreckage. So I've taken note of the fact that we cannot rely upon where we think certain locations are, and I've proven this with the arena already. We can't rely on where we assume the locations are to be the actual location of some things. So, for example, if you go into that dungeon room where the casket thing is, where all the items are, if you are heading towards that, you'll see if there's no gate from the main hall room. But then once you're in it and you see yourself looking back when the camera is facing Cyrus and you're already in the room, you'll notice that there is a gate. So there are just certain inconsistencies. If you walk into the hangar room, or rather the hallway before the hangar, and you have the shot of Cyrus walking in, and you look back, you'll notice that in the hall behind him that he just came from, there's no ceiling. So we can't just assume that we know where things are going to and from. So I've been kind of given the liberty of creating my own paths here, and sort of determining where things are based on footage in the game, such as where Rith lands and where we can see the wreckage and whatnot. So this is the hangar. I couldn't get too fancy with those metal cross beams, so I just used a fence, as you can see, and you'll notice that we have our other light finger, and where a staircase should be, right there, in that doorway, we have the hall with a nothingness door. We have the hall that precedes the location. So, nice, very nice. Let's head up. The next official location would be Sky Cages. So, entrance door of Sky Cages. Very nice. So something I've noticed is that the Sky Cages are built into, well, perhaps I should just show you. Notice how small these are. I'll explain that in a sec. Here's a Sky Cage. And if you'll notice, the Sky Cages, and you'll see this on your phone, are all built into these support columns, it almost looks like. And I've made mine pretty thick to try to mimic what's in the game, my support columns. So, you know, with the thickness, and this is probably just an issue with Minecraft, if the blocks weren't so thick and I could just use like an inch on each edge, it'd widen this gap a lot. But with my thickness, I've been given this really small slot to work with. So that's unfortunate because it is scaled properly, and whether it be limitations in Minecraft or just the fact that the game has another inconsistency, I really don't know. But you'll notice a lot of torches. That's all the lighting again. And there's our chair, which looks more like a boot than a chair, but it's good size for a giant man. Okay. Something else that I noticed when I'm poring over my screenshots, again, attention to detail, very, very important to me. I noticed that this thing behind the platform seems to be a giant hollow circular, well, you'll just have to go into the game and see, but you can actually go behind that. And I don't know if there's anything behind it in the game, but well, you can go all the way around it. But if you look at it, you'll see in the game that it has more depth back there, so you can tell that it wraps around. And my theory is this is so close to the top of the tower that the triangular portion that comes off of the top of the tower to go down to see the worker's secrets must pass through that center portion. Otherwise, this would block it, this entire sky cage room. So that might be pretty crucial to the architecture. And it's amazing that the developers actually had thought of that when they created sky cages. So I do commend them for that and picking up on that. And yeah, just a cool find. It's amazing how much you learn about a building just by trying to recreate it in Minecraft. Okay, so if you're not already tired of all the things I haven't completed, this would just be another add to the list. So you can see I've begun with the broken windows and all that. And there's not really too much to add here. I need to alter the seats and everything, and of course add a little bit of a pattern in the lights and everything, and the trapdoor down to the worker's secrets, and maybe edit the columns a bit, add some, just a little more detail here and there. But this is the general idea. It's properly scaled, I can tell you that. And something I noticed, which maybe someone has the answer to this, but I've always noticed this and it's always bothered me, is it looks like in the game and how I've created it in Minecraft that you have this staircase that leads up to this upper part of the tower, and it just kind of pinches off under the edge, sort of like how I've done here. And that's what it looks like in the game, especially because we know that it can't wrap all the way around, because behind Thane there's a giant window. And if there were another wall, another layered wall behind that, you couldn't see through the window. So it appears to pinch off, and the window makes me think it would pinch off. But if someone has another possible explanation for what's going on there when they see that, just give me a shout out, because I'd love to figure that out. So you've had sort of a brief tour here. You can see everything from the top view. Quite nice. We've had sort of a brief, really glitchy tour of what I've created so far, and if I could just reiterate again, it should not matter whether or not you've finished a project for it to be something worthy of a fan working on, right? I've worked on this for hours, and as you can see by the details and the things that I've picked up on and noticed, and like the shape of buildings and all that I've added, I know there's a lot left to be done, and I've tried to point those things out as I encounter them as best as possible. Like even right now you can see the destruction on the tower there. It's more of a cutout, and I still need to add the blocks and everything to make it look like an actual something ripped through it, you know, so that it's not just this squarish cutout. So I know there's a lot to be done on it, but that should not be any less evidence of the fact that I'm a fan of Infinity Blade, that I've put this much time and energy and detail into this castle that I've created here. So I hope you like it, and I hope I can keep giving you some updates in the future of how it's going as I continue to progress and terraform and, you know, properly create things. But I do hope this is worthy of ibsuperfan. It's certainly taken a lot of my study time that I should have spent studying probably, but it's all good because it is worth it, and I am a fan, and you know, it's good. So let me just check my list, make sure there's nothing else that I need to mention. If you have any questions, of course, you can just ask, or any comments or concerns, etc., etc. Of course, just other qualifications for ibsuperfan. I'm of course an active forum member if you're familiar with me or on the forum, and you can find me on the forum. My username on YouTube is the same as it is on the forum, Grant No. My name in real life as well, surprisingly. And I don't know, I think that's about it. You can see my character levels in the clubs, any of my videos on ratio fights. yeah. I'm going to put a link to a MediaFire download in the description if you want to explore this or modify it on your own. So feel free to tinker with it, enjoy. Let me know if you add some things or change some things that you think will be worth it, and just post your own video and, you know, call me out or something. So, yeah, I hope you enjoyed it, and I will catch you guys later. Peace.